Well, then when the property taxes goes up, it accelerates the getting people out of town. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a spiral.
Until you get to a.
So Marianne, I want to record your talk so I can send it to the other housing committee members. Is that
Right,
okay?
it like forces out the people who've been hanging on and,
Oh, you're gonna talk about water, right?
Yeah. Mostly.
Sure, no problem. Okay.
Well.
Need one more.
But yeah.
Yes, we do.
So I'm gonna open them up. Look at that. I didn't bring candy. Look at the rock.
make it stand.
Oh, wow.
Much better.
Mark, I'm recording this so we can show Marianne's talk to the rest of the committee members.
And like today, you get 3% or 2% or 1% on your purchases with your credit card. Back in my way back days, Marianne might be with me.
Probably ahead here.
We would receive green stamps and
Will you
you
sit down there? so
put them
we
in
can
a
see 'em?
book and then.
Right, S&H green stamps,
What's that?
S&H green stamps. My
Some of
job
us know.
growing up was to take all of these pages and pages of green stamps, because if I remember correctly, you got one stamp for every 10 cents you spent.
Yes.
And they came in sheets like 30,
Bring back old home days here, boys and girls.
and you pasted them in the book.
Yeah. It's,
And then you went and redeemed them and got wonderful things.
yeah,
And Raleigh,
exactly.
my grandfather smoked Raleigh and my grandma smoked Bel Air because they could collect the stamps and get Christmas gifts out of the catalog at the end of the year.
That's right. Yeah.
Smoked themselves to death before they were 60, but we got some good toys. It's
That's.
awful, but
Very-
that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
All right.
We still
Missing
don't
time.
have quorum, I think.
We still don't have form.
Okay.
You're under the bus.
Can you come down here so we can?
All right, Mark, we're all here.
Yeah, call meeting to order, we have forum, everybody, kind of a free form agenda today, I am a little bit just trying to figure out what people think is a good idea to be working on right now. And where we're at in the various things, and so I just wanted to have a kind of open one, and we also have Marianne to talk about,
Comp plan and water.
comp plan and water, and also maybe ways that the Resilience and Sustainability Committee interfaces with the Housing Committee as well, might be another thing that you, but specifically water. So that's what I got for, do people,
I have nothing to amend.
You need to elect somebody to do the minutes.
Oh.
Courtney's not here.
great, who would like to do the minutes?
Not me. Back right up now.
What?
Why did you go down that road?
Somebody's
You're
here.
being as bad as he is.
I will do the minutes myself.
All right, and this meeting's recorded if you want, we can use it
Great.
back, okay. So it's called to order at 4:05.
Great. Yes,
So can you just put a link to the Zoom then? for the
I-
minutes?
Make a
No,
motion
That
to,
would be great.
No, it has to be written.
It can't be right up the Zoom link.
No, but I have done a lot of minutes in my day.
Yeah.
motion to
Can we do minutes.
AI minutes? You can
need a second,
Yeah, they have that.
seconded.
we have a second of approving the last meeting minutes. Anyone?
Any discussion?
Objections.
Okay, great,
Oh,
All in favor?
yep. You got it.
unanimous.
I got it.
All right.
Great, and yeah, you're on.
See how we did that, Mary Ann?
I noticed that. Hi, I know everybody here, I think. I'm Mary Ann Day. I went into Margaret on Saturday or Friday
Friday.
and said how I noticed at the last two comp plan meetings, they seem to be focusing on two things. Do we have enough water? And obtainable housing.
Mhm.
And the difference being is different people on the committee are at one meeting and not at the other. So we don't have any type of consensus of what we are saying about, I'm gonna talk about water, because that's what At the meeting in Cundy's Harbor, after a lot of questions, I just got up and talked about what we know about water, what we've done so far in the last year to learn about water, geology wise and so forth. That, I was not at the last meeting, that didn't happen, so there were a lot of questions about water and it was sort of nebulous, well, we know we need more studies, etc. So I got to thinking the same questions came up on the housing group as well. And although Sean was there, he's sort of playing catch up to responding to what people are bringing up. So I was thinking there might be some way both of our committees could do something proactively for the comp plan as a committee. I know what we're going to do. We are gonna probably have more of our WaterWise series before we vote on this. Not in the next month, but before we vote on it. There were a lot of questions from the Orza Island group that I wasn't there to answer. I'm gonna talk to this week with the Conservation Commission to see if we can't do another library talk. And specifically talk to the questions that came up. In case you haven't heard my dog and pony show. Basically what we've learned from the geologist is that we're on fractured rock. I'm not even calling it fractured rock aquifer anymore because I think it gives people the wrong idea. It's fractured rock. The pipe you have going down to your well is actually a reservoir. The water comes in from the sides, not from the bottom, but from the sides. So that is what makes it so difficult to know where there is no pocket of water. It's wherever your well happens to be. The geologist told us this. I always forget my numbers, but we know how much water falls in Harpswell each year. We know how much we lose to transevaporation and how much we lose to erosion. It still leaves trillions of gallons of water left after you finish 50 gallons per person per household. All that being said are facts. I'm thinking perhaps that would be good to be in some kind of a handout at the next meeting and at the public hearing. If we can do anything positive at the public hearing, I'm not sure. Anyhow, these are no facts, but as Jamie Hart, who sits on the committee, says, we can say this all we want, but if you live in a neighborhood where you have a problem, you think there's a problem in town. So the issue is how do we get past that? And I think what we're finding is I am the only one on my house, on my street, 9 months out of the year. Last weekend, we had 24 people. So really, our issue, I'm just trying to figure out ways our issue should be, we know we need trees. We got that. We know we have to stop erosion. So everybody's benefit the more trees they have on their property in general. But actually, the problem becomes when we have our summer guests. And maybe that's what we should focus on. I don't know.
Meaning that we have, I do believe that we have the highest short-term rental market.
I'm not even
in
gonna
the
get into
state.
that subject.
So the problem.
I know, but that's
We
some of
have
it.
a problem.
I'm not talking about just the short rental, I'm saying that it's like some of it.
Well, it's,
And those are, and my understanding is those are like shallow well areas,
no, not necessarily.
Overbuilt area.
overbuilt.
That's not necessary
Also
either.
not necessarily.
No.
I agree with that, that's
Just-
not wrong.
Places where there's not as much water in the aquifer, right?
Just
Exactly.
luck of the rock.
It's the luck of the rock. So from my way of thinking, if you're trying to build houses, let's just say, while we know we have to take care of water all over town, there's no one place in town that we can say doesn't have enough water. So I'm sitting here always trying to think of how to get this thinking to the public. But right now, I sort of feel that if we focus more on the summer guests. I mean, many of us have family out of state who come to visit in the summer. I live alone, last weekend I had 5 people in my house. Everybody on our street had 5 people. If it had been a dry summer, one of those wells would have gone dry. We don't know which one, but one of them would, because it just takes time to recharge. And what does it mean for it to go dry and take just time to recharge? I mean, that's probably a good terminology people should understand.
So if I was to ask a question, how would I ask? When I think of like a flyer and facts, what I think of what I would like to know in these questions, what people are always saying is just point blank, we don't have enough water. Well, that's not accurate. So if somebody said to you in a printout flyer, do we have enough water to build more housing? Yes. I mean, that's the answer.
Mhm.
Are there maybe we should start mapping the areas of our town that wells are going dry.
Well, that-
Because maybe it's because they overbuilt. I mean, there used to be a big problem down at is it Sunset Cove? It used to be the mobile home park mostly down there. For years, there was a problem down there, but it was from the overbuilding.
And, we had shallow
And
wells
they
years
only had
ago.
very shallow wells because they were so close to
Right.
the water and stuff like that. So that's a very different issue. So maybe if we had a map of these areas,
But we don't have a map of these areas.
I know, we don't, but maybe we should have. Where things have been overbuilt to find out. Maybe that should be incorporated in some kind of study, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Mark.
I see
That
he's gonna
geology
be so
plan
good
has
down there.
something on it like that. Go ahead, please.
Actually, there is a map.
Oh, excellent.
2000.
And in the old groundwater study, which Mary Ann had the only copies of the maps, and I got copies of the maps from the groundwater study, most recent one, I think it was, and Margaret should have those. It shows areas where there are problems with groundwater adequacy. Are they topo up to date? Well, probably they're good. I mean, the groundwater doesn't change. There are also groundwater maps that again, the town has, which shows the subsurface bedrock. It shows the fractures. There are some major fractures that produce high yield wells. And there are indications of individual wells and what their yield is. And I also believe, Mary Ann, that the water witches have the incomplete but reasonable data from the state reports that show what the yields are for new wells and the depth of those new wells.
Right.
And so there already is, I'm going to call it a body of information that shows what the situation is with the bedrock aquifer. And it shows where there are significant areas that you can get lots of water on the state maps because of significant fractures in the bedrock. And there's some, but not complete information about what the yield of various wells are throughout the town, and you can probably draw a pretty good picture of where there are problems. And I think, Mary Ann, if I remember correctly, the woman from the state said in gross, there's lots of water, but there may be some isolated locations where there's not either any water or an easy supply of water.
Right, and we've also, a couple of things, the state is also looking, you have two issues with water. You have depletion of water in the well for a period of time. And then you have those that go to salt water, two different issues.
Right.
State is doing a study to find out and identify where saltwater intrusion is. They're also looking to do a base groundwater study by looking at wells that have not been pumped in 2 years, if you're willing to have a meter put on them. They are trying to set up a state database. My understanding is to get kind of the average bedrock, whatever they find out. So that's a study that we're starting to put out to the public to let them know they want to become part of it. There was also talk about having a study to have people identify their wells. That was done back in 2000 and somewhere around 2000, Mark, 1998, where they were studying, when they were having petrochemical seepage. And people signed up to have their wells tested.
Yeah.
So those are all things that we could move forward with that would be helpful, I think, to answer the questions that people have.
So I just want to back up just for a second. One of the reasons I was asking about a map of where these places are that are drying up. Because we have enough knowledge, and Bob could probably chime in on this one, that I feel like maybe as a town, if we had these areas, we could put options together to help with rain collection. Did you asphalt your whole road and driveway all the way in? Did you, what are the contributing factors, things that catch the water off the roof that can keep stuff replenished if your well's going dry and stuff like
Cisterns.
that. I mean, but a lot of people don't know this. They don't have that information. So, I just go, well, maybe if we got these small areas and we can, give people the tools to hook up rain barrels.
We don't-
do stuff and alleviate some of their dry out wells.
Well, Conservation Commission.
That will take some of the fear away for losing water.
We don't have an intern this summer, do we? We do?
Yeah.
Is he or she's already been assigned everywhere and anywhere
I mean,
already?
she's working on projects, yeah. Why would she?
I'm just like Marianne is saying, the petrochemical information's out there, the aquifer information's out there. If somebody just put time into putting those layers together, there's a ton of information that people are oblivious to, or that's not recounting where we're at. And I mean, I just did a quick calculation. We get roughly 42 inches of rain a
I
year.
did this once before.
And there's 38 days on a footprint under a house. If you say the house is 50 by 32 or something. Okay, it's 38 days. I mean, I can drive down from Oars into the Cribstone Bridge and look at the gutters, and they're all paved and people have sandbags. You're losing all that water every day, every time. And I'm sorry, but we can do better
I know
about
we
being
can.
smarter about what is easy to do in New York City or in Portland is turn on the tap and don't worry about it. But it's not the case here in Artsville.
No. That's
It's-
why,
People don't know that, I guess is what I'm saying, because
yeah,
you have conversations with people, your average everyday person, and you knock on their door and you talk to them about housing. And they say, we don't have enough water supply, my well goes dry all the time, my neighbor's well goes dry, they happen to live in this community where it's a problem.
But I mean, the state has so you talk about trees in flora and fauna being on the ground to keep the absorption there versus, I mean, a septic system is designed for evaporation. We know that that's what it's about. You pump the gray water in it, it evaporates, that's what you're doing. But on the other side, it's also a catchment. We are oblivious to our own circumstances.
And I guess I would say the Conservation Commission has been talking about these issues for 2 or 3 years now. We've had 4 programs. We're evidently not getting the word out. You know, how do you reach more people?
We are our own worst enemies in that we like conveniences.
Mhm.
Because as I spoke to you before, we've done homes where we've gone into the homes and they had cisterns in the home
Yes.
in the 1920s and earlier.
That were disused,
They were just done away with because the well became the convenient factor.
Yeah.
You know, you turn the spigot on, it's on.
My grandmother's house on Morris Island's got a cistern in the basement and it was creepy as hell.
Yeah.
You go into the basement and then you go into the side room and it's like a swimming pool in the basement. It's so creepy.
I think that's why we
Yeah,
get away from
cistern.
it.
So I'm never gonna forget the cistern. Yeah.
But doesn't mean that we
What?
You're a good story for.
Yeah,
we don't,
yeah.
have it. Go.
yeah,
I think there are 2 things that you all should discuss. One is what the number of gallons per person per day of water usage is. And I think it's important that there be a consistent number because the state says it used to be 60 gallons per day per person. They now say 75 gallons per day per person. But a member of the housing committee that's waving his finger around has, well, it goes up and it's 150 gallons per day.
120.
And-
Portland
but
Water
that's-
District.
How much waste is there in Portland?
What'd you say?
Portland Water District, I use.
Yeah, but
100
that's for usage for people who are on public water supply systems.
Okay,
And
so
when the state is talking about on-site water supply, they use a lower number. All as I'm
HVC
saying,
200 form.
what's and the second question?
well, no, but to me, the key is that when we're talking about water usage and how much water is being taken out of the bedrock aquifer, there needs to be a consistent number that's being used, even if it's qualified. Because if somebody over here is saying 60 gallons per person, and somebody over here is saying 120 gallons per person per day, the public says they don't know what they're talking about.
So if you Google it,
So
it says.
that's a key piece of credibility. The second is that the
USGS.
town.
So what the state,
So the second one, Sean, is that the town already has in place a number of requirements for what new subdivisions and new single-family housing has to do with respect to stormwater management. The new subdivisions have to use what are called LID techniques to recharge the runoff from the paved areas into the soil. If you go look at the plan for the subdivision off of Route 123, whatever that's called, I can never remember the name of it, but Schooner Ridge or
Saltwater
whatever.
Reach or saltwater.
So whatever it
Saltwater, the one
is,
that goes
they've
down in-
changed the name a couple times.
Off
What
Peabody
they
Road.
have is they have a system where
Oh,
all of the runoff goes into what are called level spreaders, which are gravel trenches.
Level spreaders.
And then, level spreaders. And the water, rather than running as a stream, it trickles out. And there are easements down below each one of those level spreaders, which has to be maintained as wooded, vegetated areas for the water to infiltrate that comes off from the runoff from the additional paved areas into the ground. That already happens. There's supposed to be, when you develop a single family home, you're supposed to submit a stormwater management plan, which addresses how you're going to minimize the runoff from the site and put water back into the bedrock aquifer. There also is, and Margaret, correct me if I'm going astray on this, but there's an impermeable surface area limit, which is essentially 20% of the lot area almost everywhere in town. It doesn't apply in the CF districts. It doesn't apply in Mitchell Field. But if I remember correctly, Margaret, it applies in all of the other zones in the shoreland, and it applies in the interior district. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so if you take a 40,000 square foot lot, that says the maximum amount of impervious surface you can put on it is 20% or 8,000 square feet of impervious surface. That counts the house, the walkways, the driveway, the garage, the swimming pool, anything else. And many, I think Margaret will verify, many of the houses in areas like Cundy's Harbor or, Lower Oars Island already exceed the 20%, the old ones. And they can't add legally more impervious surface area.
So
And I think it might be, go ahead.
I'm getting confused about what the question is here. We started out talking about a message to deliver to people at the meetings about the plan. And now we're into the minutia of impervious surfaces and what's allowed and what's grandfathered in because it happened 100 years ago. I mean, what's our purpose?
I would say the purpose is to say to people that new
But
development
if you can't
already,
explain that to people,
Well, not that much, but I think
you.
you can word this, so I'm thinking as we're
Yeah.
talking.
This is easy to do, I think.
He lives it. He's lived it all his life. I put up with it.
Put up with what?
These numbers.
The regulations.
But it's, I thought the point was, we want people to have an understanding that water in Harpswell does not need to be an impediment to building additional housing,
That's correct.
right?
And so,
So I mean, with
Well,
all due
we're
respect,
trying-
I don't see how
what the-
understanding what the regulations are for impervious surfaces gets that message to people.
what Mark is saying here, to my estimation, is that there are already structures in place in planning for developments or single-family houses that are already protective of groundwater.
That's
That is
fine. Then that's a sentence.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly the message. The
Mark likes the
town
numbers.
already does
No,
What
but-
we have-
a bunch of things.
51% of the homes
Mhm.
are not within the standard.
Because they
And
were
so
built
you could
before the
easily
standards were designed.
Subtract, those areas are problematic already.
Mhm.
But any new design qualifies and has to be per the regulation.
Right, so if our message is there's enough water in Harpswell to put in more housing. Yes, I believe we need a number to give people, even though it won't mean anything, because who the hell knows what 50 gallons looks like? But then, there are state and local regulations that guide development. I mean, all those can be part of it, but if you go into too much detail, then people are gonna think you're trying to hide something and knock them down with information.
And I'm gonna agree with, this is what I was trying to say a little earlier, if we're talking about trying to build housing. Having some straightforward answers on, do we have enough water? Because the argument out there is, we don't have enough water. We can't afford to build anymore, and you know what, and I'm sorry, I would redefine that, what they're saying is, we can't afford to build affordable housing.
Oh, yeah.
Because
That is
they're
what
given the
saying, yeah.
permits for a certain income level of housing gets it.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's what it's really about. So, but we do have enough water to build more, which I also would argue why we need growth areas. Which to
Not this
be
time.
able to do that, but I really think that if we as a housing committee, we're about housing, we're about building housing.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that's hitting us on the outside is not accurate information about our water supply.
Yeah.
So if we just had some bullet points that said, do we have enough water?
So I'm
Well,
not
where do
in
I get that
disagreement.
information? With a
I
link,
think I'm
you
good
know?
with that part.
Just some bullets.
I'm fine with it. So what we're being tagged
Mhm.
from what Marianne is saying is that those that don't have water are the overbuilt areas
Right,
or encroached areas by seawater or whatever's happening.
Or luck of the draw, bad,
Yeah.
bad aquifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the luck of the draw wasn't in their favor to begin with.
Maybe
But
if they moved their well
current-
6 feet, they'd be fine.
Correct.
I mean,
But you can't tell somebody to pump $14,000 into a new well
no,
and take
I
the
totally
chance.
get that.
But the regulations, per what the code is in Harps already, is controlling your water to a degree. Now, where Amy is coming unglued at us is too small of lots, you're gonna create this problem again. But we've continued adamantly to say water will be an imperative determination before you can do that. But we equally should say, maybe these are additional. I brought up a long time ago that people should be putting in either plastic vaults in their basements or cisterns for the future. In case they run out of water, they can flip over to that. Naturally, that's a cost just like adding sprinklers to a building, so you're not gonna get there. But I think message wise, what's being said is we should identify the restricted or over abused areas and say that this is what we ought to be trying to tackle in those areas to provide better water resource to an existing problem. And the inland areas are really controlled by the regulations that should be fine. Even if there's too small a house, it's still a water restriction issue on that discussion that we've had all along.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is what Marty was getting at, was that like, we already have mechanisms in town to,
Oh, you're there.
but how do we get that word out simply?
so, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't think that if you tell somebody whose well repeatedly goes dry, we have enough water in town, they are able to hear that. Like, their experience is that there is not enough water in town, so we need to have, I think
It's not
like
give a
it's.
message.
Something to
It's
give
where
that
they
person,
live.
help them get
Yeah.
the amount of water that they need, that's why I was
It's-
trying to say designated
It's
areas.
not in town.
Right.
Water in Harpswell is not all connected to each other. It's in the area where a person's house is.
It's within the street where someone.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. It's not in town because
Yes,
look at town.
it is not in town, we have, as Marianne has repeatedly said, there's ample water in town according to the state geologist, and it's in a fractured rock aquifer. Fractured rock
situation.
Okay, cool. We'll work on the next word that comes
There's
after
an
it.
article in the
Yeah.
Anchor that had diagrams and stuff that talked about
Yeah,
it.
from our last talk, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking also, if we could build on what the ordinances already say. We could say to people, we have ordinances in place. We will make sure all new properties stick to the 20%. You know,
Impervious area.
that's not something well, impervious we have, but lid design has been a little newly thought of and not really,
Problem is that landscaping is really hard for the code office
yeah.
to enforce. And it's something that when you're building a new house, you're not thinking about landscaping unless you're really a wealthy person who's, you know, architect has a landscape designer. Other than that, it's just not something that's on the top of your mind. You're gonna build your house and then you're gonna plant grass after.
But I think we could probably have something for people who aren't going to the planning board. To think about when they're building their house.
How much
There's-
green space is
Green
attached, so
space,
whether you.
You know, you have swales on your property, keep them, don't fill them in, that type of thing. But I'm
Or-
also thinking we could say. We've determined that there should be enough water. In general, when we're talking to people. Because of this, this and this. However, you can pretend we're basically on an island in Bermuda. And this is what you can do to. Give yourself more protection on your property. With a cistern, with a rain barrel. The cistern is, but these are some things you could do to enhance that ability to be sure you're gonna have water. I don't know, maybe that,
No, I think,
something
I
along
think
that
the
line, yeah.
sustainability committee should be the new enforcement officers for the landscape.
I think that's a good message, when you say,
I'm all
okay,
for it.
that when somebody says to me, we don't have enough water for house. I can say that's
That's not
not
the
true, we
code
have plenty,
office.
but yes, we have areas or some houses.
Right.
Have issues because of how, well, whatever reason, but. Here's a pamphlet of creative ways that you can do if your well's going dry.
Yeah,
or to protect
You know,
yourself for the dry periods, however we word it.
that was,
To protect.
so in the,
Here's some grant money, assistance for another well, here's, I mean, there's.
That's right.
I have a couple ideas. You know, when we're talking about affordable housing. Could we talk about, I mean, this would be far down the road, but maybe the answer is to increase or decrease the allowable impervious coverage.
Just thinking of that too.
So maybe you allow 3 lots, maybe you do the bedroom by lot, what is it, bedroom by square foot? Lot size by bedroom.
lot size by bedroom.
Maybe you do that, but if you're gonna go down that route, you can only cover 10% of your lot instead of 20.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's 15, and maybe that is
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
a way to conserve water, and that's easily enforceable by the code office. It's a number.
Remember, they can go vertical.
Right. Yeah,
You
they
can
can
have
go
3
vertical.
stories.
Has
You get
the
a 10 by
town
10 and go
had
30.
Minimum or maximum parking for buildings,
Just lot coverage.
just like.
Yeah.
Haven't had a.
Well, I mean, that's a good suggestion, because
That is a
if
good
that's,
suggestion.
if that's tipping those that are in disagreement to smaller lot size for smaller buildings for affordable entities, then maybe it is a cognitive way to address some of those issues of saying, we're trying to make sure there's enough sewage capacity, enough water capacity, because when you
So
get the
we're
lot
gonna keep more
smaller,
water on your lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with getting small lots is the well has to be 100 feet from the septic. So does the lot get smaller? That gets harder to do.
There are,
But you can sign it if it's your own well. You can sign off on that.
No, you
Can
can't.
you design
You
it?
can get
with the
down to
under the road?
75 feet
Yeah.
with a waiver.
So another idea would be to require gutters. Maybe we require gutters on all new houses and they go to a certain spot, you know, maybe it goes to a landscape level
That'd be a good
spreader.
idea.
I mean-
Is that a problem with, I was told, gutters and ice dams?
Yeah, I detest gutters.
Okay,
But that's-
Just an idea,
Yeah,
okay.
But I mean,
Rock garden.
I think the issue there is to minimize impervious area.
How do you do rainwater catchment without gutters?
You don't,
Don't.
you have,
Well,
we have a
Sure.
leach field.
You can slope the property to a catchment area, a pond.
Gotcha.
There's other ways, but if the pond's there, it's either evaporating or going down.
Well,
Without-
you can
without-
redirect it
without a
off
gutter.
from what
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
into a rock
Yeah.
garden,
Yeah.
Which I was just learning about with the project.
Yeah, I have fun.
So,
Those
a
are
couple
the-
more ideas.
Yeah, what you got, Margaret?
A couple more ideas would be to, and I've said this before, it's not popular, I don't think, but to increase the setback from the water. What happens is it's 75 feet you have to build. You have to, the buffer is 75 feet, but what happens is people build right up to that 75-foot buffer. And then they create all these hazard trees, because now they've got all these trees right next to their house, so then they have to cut down the trees
They also cut
by
to
ordinance.
do
And also
building
plan.
past to get equipment behind 75, so
That's supposed to be accounted for by the code office.
it appears to not be
But it
sometimes,
seems,
just, yeah.
it would
But-
seem climate change.
The only thing there is, that's,
So
most of this is not, most of affordable housing is in the inland zone.
Right. Ways to keep water in your property, but
Yes.
to appease those people.
Yeah.
So to increase the buffer would give you more area to keep that, to slow that water down before it
Mhm.
hits the ocean. And more recharge for those areas that are, maybe developed. And then maybe another idea is to have a fee when the Board of Selectmen assess all the building permit fees. Maybe we can assess a fee of $50, and every time you build a new house in the shoreline zone, we charge $50 and we plant a tree. A tree fee.
The tree fee.
Yeah, do you wanna build a house in the shoreline zone? We're gonna charge you an extra $50 and we're gonna use it to vegetate a different area. I don't
What
know,
area are you gonna plant the tree in?
wherever we want, I don't know, people, there's tree planting programs all over the place, or just maybe something like that, maybe we,
The only thing I think
Some sort of
with
a
shoreline zone and setback, I like the idea, but what if somebody just owns a small section of property? Could it be limited building size because of?
there's already,
that
you
I know,
can get a-
there is, but.
you can get a variance from the Board of
Okay.
Appeals.
And Margaret, with,
Yeah.
with resiliency, there's going to be talk about pushing back 100 feet. I think it's already been talked about.
I think
It's,
the 75-foot setback is not abided by because you can put your house at 75 feet.
Right.
And then you do all this clearing around it.
Yeah, but if you had to,
A 25-foot setback from the 75 from.
Yeah.
Right, and then put a 25.
Make it 100.
so I mean, yeah, as an arborist, I deal with this all the
That is a
time.
25 foot
and-
buffer.
In places where they didn't do that, where they didn't put the house right on the corner, the vegetation needs to stay to 75 feet.
Right.
That's- And so when the house is slammed at 75 feet exactly, then they have they maintain a buffer which erodes the actual setback down to, I would say in some cases, like less than half of 75 feet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that is certainly a problem for erosion and water infiltration. And I don't know, maybe that's already in violation or something, I'm not sure.
Well, if you have a hazard tree, you can cut it down. There's regulations for a hazard tree, and a hazard tree can be something that's threatening a bank. Like if your tree's hanging over a bank, that's a hazard tree. If a tree is gonna hit the house, that's a hazard tree. And so, by putting your house right next to the trees, you're creating this condition where you can cut down more trees.
So
Because you're creating hazard trees.
other towns have tree ordinances specifically around needing to do adequate tree preservation stuff during construction. That is something that Harpswell doesn't have.
It's really hard.
But I mean, on this
Sure.
vein of the shoreland being protected, because we have the saltwater intrusion, I think some of these of what you just stated as either tree fees or whatever, if you're gonna be in this area, those are really good for the saltwater, for the shoreland zone. Because if you're now creating the 75 true buffer, which is what the intent was to begin with, and
Right.
we've all mitigated and found our way through trying to cut down to 35 feet instead. That's a good plus of showing both sides of the inland and
Yeah, yeah.
shoreland, saying these are things that, whether it comes from housing, I don't know, but
No, but
I think
that's-
housing and sustainability, in that we're saying smaller lots, but these are more restrictive. I don't, so maybe it is only a 750 square foot house that you're allowed to have on
Yeah.
a 4,000 square foot lot or bedroom lot.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe those are not bad things to be cognizant of.
Those are
But-
good ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, what is the, so if we were to do, what is the current minimum lot size for workforce housing in the 2005 comprehensive plan? Do we?
Maybe Mark.
I know that.
This will be honest with grandfather. I live
Yeah.
on 0.68 acres.
Um,
And I have a setback 80 feet from the water. No, more than 80. I'm set back 200.
What is the measurement?
You're afraid to take
Setback?
this job without
The high water.
The high
making
water
sure you're
mark.
in
Yeah.
those quality.
But we've had a lot of degradation, so if somebody's lost land
Yeah.
and their pins out here in the ocean.
I mean, yeah, that gets
No,
it down to
mine-
like 15
mine's the
feet of
high water
actual
mark.
trees in some
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
But these are some good thoughts, I think, and you could probably show that we're doing this already. This is what we're willing to do more, which is gonna help our water for everybody. And that can fit nicely with what you're trying to do.
Are they currently talking about increasing setback? The select board or?
No.
Select
No.
Board of the State has mentioned it.
I think I'm the only person in town that I've heard talk
Mark?
about it.
Mark,
Hello?
didn't the state talk about moving, it had something to do with the flood zone or something, moving back 100 feet from the water instead of 75?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean,
You
there,
should.
the LRPC, the Land Use Planning Commission for the unorganized territory requires 100 feet. And I know there's been discussion about increasing the 75 feet, but I'm not aware that there was any change in the shoreland zoning.
No, I thought
Okay.
they come through as part of the floodplain thing,
So
but anyhow,
Margaret had a handful of suggestions about ideas to address water stuff, I guess.
Both like things that are easy to regulate and not shoreline zone and inland, new houses, existing houses.
whatever we wanted to do, we wanted to be applied inland. Because that's the area you guys wanna build.
Right.
Yeah,
It's the only, it's affordable.
Right.
Could be.
that's true too. So. Marianne, do you have? When we're talking about water, we are in a fractured rock water access system, maybe right now.
We were
That's
just
too
calling it
complicated.
fractured rock.
We sit on fractured rock.
Mhm.
And the amount of water available in fractured rock is highly variable.
Yeah.
I think that's a point that is important
That's
to
important.
have clarity on.
Uh-huh.
Another thing that would be great to know is what are the gallon per person per day usage estimates?
And I think that's where we gotta come up, as Mark said, with one number.
I truly believe if you reference the it's the health and what? HHEE 200 form, which is the design of a septic system, they require the gallons.
Oh, for,
That's,
that's where you're getting that number.
that number is already a state mandate.
It's 120 gallons per day total for the,
No, I think it's more like 75.
gotcha.
So what is it called?
The HHE 200 form Margaret has to, anytime anybody comes in with a design for a building, they have to come in with a septic design. And on that, it says the gallons per day usages times how many bedrooms or how many people.
So
That's the number that you are guided by, is that not correct?
90.
90?
Yeah.
90
what it
gallons
is.
Yeah,
per day.
it's,
Yeah.
That's the number, because now there's state law, that's just,
but that, remember though, the 90 gallons per day is not per person. It's per bedroom. So a 3-bedroom house has to have a septic system designed to accommodate a flow of 3 times 90 gallons per day of 270 gallons. And given the number of bedrooms you have, the size of the septic system goes up or down. And Margaret, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the most recent changes said that an ADU has to be designed to accommodate 120 gallons a day. And doesn't a 1-bedroom unit, isn't that designed for 120 gallons a day?
It depends if it's attached to if it's part of the principal structure, it's 120, and if it's standalone, it's 180.
Okay,
So the minimum design size is 180 gallons per day or a 2-bedroom house. Unless it's like part of a basement or above the garage apartment,
Mhm.
part of the principal structure, and then you can go down to 120 gallons per day for a unit. So that would be a bedroom, kitchen, bathroom unit. But if you just want to add a bedroom with no kitchen, it's just 90.
I'm just saying, that's the guide,
So-
that's
so-
what we should be using.
So that, yeah, that's exactly, and
So we're gonna
That-
talk about bedrooms rather.
Because you're controlled by that already.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
go ahead.
We kind of have to.
well, the EPA says fuse between 80 and 100. So 90 is the halfway point. Is it people, is it bedrooms? I mean,
Use,
We're gonna have
use
to
the
come up
state of
with-
Maine, don't use EPA,
Right.
state of Maine.
I'm trying to find that 90 on this thing.
Well, they're all over it with they're all over, and it's like 75 to 80.
Yeah, 50 sounds very low to me.
The number that we're trying to come up with here is the necessary design for the necessary amount of water that we legally need to plan for different types of ADUs or small houses or whatever. That's to my understanding what we're trying to come up with. Hey, Mary Ann, Liz?
I'm sitting here trying to figure something out.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Help me. Right now, we have septics per bedroom.
Mhm.
We talked about making some changes, and what were those, do you recall? Instead of using septic, we would use bedrooms.
We, under the affordable working
Yeah,
task force, we talked about bedrooms. Because then we're talking about gallons per bedroom versus a subdivision would be 40,000 square foot lot. And the bedroom was, I think did we get at 20,000 now per bedroom? Or is it 12,000? I can't remember.
I don't remember and I don't have it handy. I think
and I
it's
only,
12,000.
whatever we pick, we wanted
For a
to.
1-bedroom, I think a 1-bedroom unit requires a minimum lot area of 12,000 square feet. And there are 2 state laws that come into play. One is the subsurface wastewater disposal rules, which tie the size that the septic system has to be designed for to the number of bedrooms. There also is the state minimum lot size law, which the new affordable housing amendments tie the lot size to in certain situations where you have on-site sewage disposal. The state minimum lot size law calls for 20,000 square feet for a single-family home. And for other uses, it proportions the lot size to the design flow for the use. Now, there's no sliding scale in the minimum lot size law that says if you need 20,000 square feet for a single family home, that applies, some people say, to whether it's 1 bedroom or 22 bedrooms. But there's a provision in the minimum lot size.
You're cutting
law-
out quite badly.
I'm sorry, say again?
Okay.
Mark,
And there
you're,
is a per-
I wasn't able to catch any of that. You're very choppy.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. Let me try again.
example Where,
It's okay.
The state minimum lot size law says you have to have
Could you-
20,000. Hello,
it freezes up.
Hey, Mark, could you type the numbers into the chat, please? You're just up super bad and it's not going through.
So
Thank you.
So,
where we came out is that if you take a 3-bedroom unit needing 40,000 at 12,000 times 3 bedrooms, are roughly 36,000. So it's very close, but now you're allowing other smaller lots to be built on smaller acreages per bedroom. The discussion came up immediately as well, then they're restricted to 1 bedroom in the future on 12,000. Yes, indeed they are. But it's not the end of the world. You still got a house, you still got
Right.
something. So that was the emphasis of where we
gotcha.
we went to bedroom to see if a smaller house on a smaller lot, because it's more affordable, could possibly initiate some housing. That's all it came down to.
So,
And it's been very controversial.
so for our benefit, for what we're talking about, it
Mhm.
sounds like if we use that subsurface number, bedrooms, that's what people know. We're not asking them to learn something new.
Correct.
To make our point.
Correct.
Yeah, so that we would use whatever number is shown in the subsurface.
And this is, we're answering the question, how much water do you need for a house?
No, we're trying to answer the question for people who think we don't have enough water to do any building for housing.
Yeah.
I-
go for it.
I just worry that we are really, I mean, I think we need to use the number 90. I don't have any problem with that. But people are gonna ask a question and then want an answer and, then do we have enough in Harpswell? Well, yes, we do have enough in Harpswell. There are a couple areas where there are some challenges and the residents there have to deal with it. But then I don't see it turning into great conversations of all this depth at a meeting.
But I think we're
I
trying.
agree with you. It's been a problem.
Have
We
you been to meetings?
have, no matter what we say, we're always shut down.
But what difference is a number gonna make?
So it isn't, but I think where Mary Ann's coming from is she's out there professing these and having these sub meetings to the public and saying there are opportunities here for us to work around this or to help it. And the housing committee, on the other hand, is doing this to try to make sure we don't ever have these problems again. There's where we're coming, but you're right, we're not gonna solve the person that says, I don't have enough water. Slowly, we may be able to trickle some thought pattern in there, but it's not. But what we were doing as housing, I think we've tried to run around this merry-go-round 16 times to Sunday to make it, but somebody out there keeps saying, we don't have enough water.
So when that person says we don't have enough water.
He's the
what-
chair of the
Well,
planning board.
That's okay, Bob.
How do you respond to them when they say that?
Mark's doing some research over
I,
there.
I
You
think
know,
that
because just let me finish, because I think there has to be a response to that. I guess is what I'm saying, you know, I say to somebody, we got plenty of water in Hapswell to build, and I know that's the truth, but my neighbor says to me, my well goes dry every summer.
Mhm.
I said, oh, that's horrible.
You-
Do you by chance have other alternatives to keep it
Yeah,
up
backup system.
Yeah,
and have that?
we can revert
that
some things.
Conversation. Because sometimes people go, oh, and if they say, yeah, to me, because I'm a representative, they say to me, I don't have money to do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, let me look and see what's out there.
I
And
like
maybe
the
there
fact
isn't,
that
but
the
then,
tree
then
growth,
we
I
can
mean,
create something.
whether
I
it's
just
$50
think we're
to plant a
missing
tree could also go into other
Information conversation.
water quality
Issue.
processes for those that don't have areas that we don't have enough water in, whether it's $50, whether it's $500. If you want to build or do something additional on that landscaped area that's going to create or mitigate the amount of impervious or override it, there's a fee that could help others people that don't have the money
Absolutely.
to
You
get
just
rid of the
can't
pavement
build
and to
at
do that.
the- You can't build in places where you would bypass the 20% impervious surface, is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Straight up can't, there's
For
no,
people nickel and dime you,
Yeah.
like, they might take out 100 feet of their driveway,
Right.
so they could build a 100-foot shed or
Yeah.
something. You know, yeah.
gotcha.
I have to leave in a couple minutes. My husband's not home from lobstering yet, and the kids are headed home from daycare. So will you, I'm looking at you because you're the youngest person in the room, end the Zoom call? Okay, cool. When the time is right, and you can just leave all that equipment right there, and hopefully nobody from Town Lands comes in and, or shut the door.
That's right, Town Lands comes in.
They're here. Yeah,
I need to buy 30 lobsters
all right,
in about 2 weeks.
all right.
Interstate.
Interstate, yeah.
That.
No private
Down at the end,
transaction.
past my place, down, very end of 125th.
At the Ash Point, it's on Ash Point,
Oh,
you know, but like, instead of turning to the south.
You have to turn and go by
Oh.
finest kind boat, yeah.
Well, if you're asking to buy it for my family, that's
No,
what my
no, no.
husband would say.
No, I'm just asking
Yeah.
where should I go?
There you
Um,
go. Yep.
this recording will be available, I'll send it out to people. And before I leave, I'll tell you that there's a comp plan meeting next Tuesday at the Kellogg Church at 6 p.m. Mary Ann, are you gonna make it to that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would like to bring something, I will bring something. Handouts or
Yeah.
something.
Water related.
And
About that, yeah.
if you wanna watch the comp plan meeting from Moore's Island where it was all about water, that recording would be, and Bob did not speak up even though we wanted to. That recording is on the Harpswell website and I can send it out to everybody. I thought it was interesting, the one guy from Lowell's Cove, which everybody there was from Lowell's Cove, but he compared us to Cape Cod
Mhm.
about, I don't know what kind of aquifer they
I
have.
need the wrong information.
Entirely sand in
Yeah.
Cape Cod, it's an
Yeah.
entirely different water situation, but yeah,
Yeah, I thought that was a really
it's a bad comparison.
weird comparison,
Yeah.
in my opinion, not, yeah, I know it's on recording, but
Yeah.
But I
I
mean,
just I didn't see.
what was interesting about that, the comments to refute the water were said 3 times by 3 different people, and yet that wasn't what was absorbed at all.
Mhm.
And that's why Sean spoke and said it again, and I go, the 3rd time, and we're still talking about the water.
Mhm.
The one item that the gentleman brought up, which Mark, I think is warranted, he said, why aren't we just abiding by the state affordable numbers? And again, that was said 3 times, that we're not, because if you go down that road, a lot of other things can be allowed. But that was a big comment by one gentleman that just
That would
said,
be interesting to find out.
And
more
what
about
was
that.
the first question I
well, it's a
answered?
30% AMI.
It was the
I
first
agree,
meeting here, I just looked at everything, and went, I asked the same
because
question.
we can't
I
get there
did
from
agree
here.
with him.
Well, Bob.
Yeah.
My understanding of that the comment from the email I got from Al was that the comment about the state affordability issues related to the 80/120 rental ownership in the state affordability law.
Did you?
Why are we suggesting that attainable housing should have higher income limits. And I think the answer all along has been that the 80 and 120% of AMI doesn't really meet the housing need of people who need to live in Harpswell, because that you can't have, there aren't any $350,000 houses that can be built in Harpswell.
It's a missing middle number. It's not an
Yeah.
affordable.
So is it that a $350,000 house can't be built in Harpswell, or nobody wants to build or sell one for $350,000? Because you can put a manufactured home or a mobile home on a single family lot for way less than that. So not to go down a rabbit hole, but my argument would be if by not allowing those numbers and making our numbers higher, we keep a certain population of people from being able to be in our.
So the other thing that
But
comes
that's always been
comes
my
with
argument.
the 30% is that you're supposed to have a town center, you're supposed to have public transportation, you're supposed to have a whole bunch of a cadre of other items that we will never have in this town. Maybe someday,
No,
but we're not at 30%, and we're going that way, one way. Goodbye.
right, we're not, but we're gonna find a balance if we don't, if we don't have the numbers that keep that in the middle. And we have options now for building like smaller homes, we have options now. I fought very hard to be able to put mobile homes, manufactured homes on single family lots. And those don't cost $350,000, and they
I'll work
cannot be
against you on that
refused
all
from.
day long.
They can't be refused from Harpswell anymore, and that's something somebody at 30% AMI can
There are-
afford.
There's
You
a
know?
ton of mobile homes in Hartsville.
Huh?
Because we work on them all the time.
I know.
And
They're old.
I'm not saying no, I'm just saying I would not. I personally, as a builder and knowing what they are built like, they are built better today than they were, but they are not
I'm gonna
like what standard is.
redirect
It doesn't
us.
matter if
Go
it's
for
something
it.
I'm
that
gonna
somebody
redirect
can
this for
afford,
broader.
they ought to be allowed to.
It's, I appreciate your
Yes.
presence here today, and I think that I'd love to like continue to use the time that you're in this meeting to think about specifically where water interfaces with
Yeah, that's
affordable
that was
housing.
the reason I was here.
It's what we're here for, so, I like this discussion is, welcome and important, but to stay on topic of what we're trying to get to today about, because it's something that's come up repeatedly as a concern for people around housing. And to our understanding here, we have a idea about how water and smaller lot sizes is probably not a barrier in town.
Not a barrier like that.
And we need to figure out a way to more clearly articulate that than we have been. I do my best, and sometimes it's,
No, it's hard.
you show up and you're trying to remember all the numbers off the top of your head, or whatever. I mean, it's good to hone in on the actual numbers that we're talking about here. There are, and so like, again, to go back through this, Fractured Rock has, with the infiltration estimates from the state geologist, we have ample water in town. Like in multiples of our current consumption rate.
We're gonna use that number from the wastewater, because that's a good number.
Yep.
And then we're going to talk about the total number,
Mhm.
the total amount of rainfall based on. And total gallonage, and what the gallonage used, using that number, how much gallonage we use,
Mhm.
this is what we got left. And it just isn't equally all over town.
Yep. And so we can do that math. We have the number of estimated like leftover water that we have bedroom information for current existing structures in town. We have the number for septic throughput in gallons per bedroom.
Mhm.
We can do the math for our current use and we do we have that number yet? Like how much water the town is currently using
Per house,
per
perhaps,
house? Maybe, okay.
maybe.
So I don't know, that's some of the stuff that I'm seeing here is like,
Yes.
if we can confidently say we have like 4 times more water in falls on Harpswell than we use or something like that.
Something like that would be nice.
That would be useful to know.
And it would be
Yeah.
nice to be able to
A
say.
quick question,
Yes.
who's Bob, maybe you know this, so Mark, is there, what do you call them? Water meters, are those mandated on houses here at all?
No,
No,
What,
no, we have no,
some kind of a
information.
program that allowed people to put them out in their house and they could just report what the numbers are on each tax bill, so that we can
well,
get
I mean, there,
something.
obviously, most of the situations are people have their individual wells. And there's no metering or tracking of how much water they're using or not using. Unless somebody in the house is concerned about water use. And, you know, they're trying to keep things down but you know, the one thing that hasn't been discussed today that the Conservation Commission and the Waterwise program has discussed is that trying to reduce the amount of water that people use. And I have an example that I use. There are 4,400 housing units in Harpswell. A modern toilet uses 1.3 gallons per flush. On 4th of July weekend, I would bet that 90 or 95% of those units were occupied. And one flush was taking 5,000 gallons out of the aquifer. We just talked about single family homes that use 270 gallons. That's one flush equals how much water that a single family home used that day. And that's probably even less. I mean, that's the high. The 270 is what you design for as the peak. If you reduce the use of water, to me, that's the companion part of the discussion. And I know Mary Ann has talked about it, but you know, if you're building a new house, you have to use low flow fixtures. My guess is that there's lots of houses in Harpswell that still have older toilets, etc. And so I know that's not a direct correlation to the question of is there enough water? But the question is, do you use the water that is there wisely?
Go ahead, Debbie.
I agree with everything you've said. I like to conserve water, but I just don't think that's an argument that's gonna compel somebody to embrace the notion that we need affordable housing.
Do you have any thoughts on what, Mike? Having to do with water?
Well, I like the idea of letting people know that there's plenty of water, but
Okay.
to say if all of us made sure we had low flow toilets in our household, that would make it easier to have affordable housing is, it's not gonna speak to anyone.
Okay.
I agree.
You know, it's, people aren't gonna change their shower heads, they like the ones that blast out the water. I think that we need to stick to, we have enough water and this is how we know that there's enough water, and so therefore that is not an argument against affordable housing.
You're right.
That is it, I think. Good.
It is, I would agree with that,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is, because and how do you know that, as the state hydrologist has told us this.
And yes, we, as individuals, we recognize there are places in towns that have challenges with water. There are things the people that live there could do to mitigate those challenges.
Totally.
Again, that's not,
I think that's a good comeback argument.
It
It's plain, it's simple, it's, when somebody says, well, you know, we can't have affordable housing because we don't have enough water. That's, you know, according to the state hydrologist, we have plenty of water. We have 4 times the amount of water actually than what we need for that amount of housing that
Or
we have
whatever
right
that
now.
number actually is.
yeah.
That we do, according to state hydrologist figures, am I correct in that? There's 4 times the amount of water.
That was something I said, like, kind of,
I'm not sure
Flippantly
what
as an
the, what the
estimate,
times
but-
it is. I mean, I have the numbers at home. I'm
Yeah,
just off the
yeah,
top of my
yeah.
head.
I think it's around that anyways. So that's not an argument against having affordable housing.
Right.
And we know this because the state hydrologist has told us this.
Yeah.
Um,
and then you follow that up with, certainly there are areas in town that are experiencing shortages of water, especially in the summer, especially when there's higher usage.
Yeah.
And in those places, we aren't proposing to build more houses. There are, you know, and
and do you live on a street that has 4 short-term rentals on it?
we're not gonna go there
Yeah,
today.
That
With 30 people
Oh,
coming
go
in
ahead, go ahead.
in one night and stuff like that.
Yes,
But no, I'm just, I do think that.
And from our part, I can use the first part and then I can build on that. I'm not gonna talk about housing, but I am gonna talk about how people can enhance their water availability.
yeah, and
I'm glad to talk with you on that.
I know you promised me something at one point, I
Oh,
don't know
God.
what it was.
You know,
That's
I
okay.
think it's a perfect argument to just us all to just start flatly saying, us not having enough water is not an argument.
it's just not true.
It's not
Right.
true.
It's just not true.
not true.
So what I would
I
like
know
would be
it freaks
write
you out,
those,
but it's not true.
I would like you to write those down as your first 2 or 3 statements. I'm gonna pick that up and use it as our first 3 statements, and then build from there, and you build from yours.
There is enough water. Water in town.
Yeah.
What were the next 2?
It's not an argument against affordable housing,
Yeah.
is what you said, and then there were places in town with challenges.
Not a,
And
yeah,
in you and your group are working on opportunity solutions that might improve that over
Yeah,
time,
right.
but there's a whole buy-in on those accommodations too.
Yeah,
None of it comes cheap, but we've talked about possibly feeing this to be able to offset that to betterment of those that can't and should.
Sure.
I mean, we've worked for what, 50 years now to not have overboard discharges.
right.
I mean, and we're still down to, you know, a half a dozen, but I mean, unbelievable.
So pumping this
Absolutely.
into the freaking river, just.
I mean, so things take time.
They do take time in Maine, I will say that.
there is enough water in town. Yeah, it's not an argument against building more housing, especially housing for the
Especially because
people.
we haven't had a drought in 2 years.
Yeah, and there are places in town that do experience limited water supplies, and in those places, there are steps that the people who live there can take to mitigate that.
Yeah.
And we won't be building
And
there.
we'll hopefully bring some educational opportunities to that.
Uh,
Right.
Yeah,
I do like the idea of maybe like some of the stuff that Margaret was saying about getting fees and stuff, something that.
Those are
if
some
we could
interesting
create some
thoughts.
kind of fund that worked to help people mitigate
I'm,
fixing their well stuff and things.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm all for taxing the short-term rentals to do it, but.
You can't do that, Tim.
the,
Vacancy tax.
the, I'm really
There are
interested
states that have
in
that.
the discussion around, especially because in talking to Matt, one of the major concerns about development, as he explained it to me, for him anyways, is
Yeah.
the erosion and impact on water quality.
That's his.
That's something that, I mean, that's something that he articulated to me in a conversation. Yeah, because you know, he's concerned about the lobster and fish. Yeah, it makes sense, clams, whatever. And so it's actually, in my mind, probably direct shoreline development that is a bigger impact on
Yeah.
water quality than what we're talking about in the inland zone. And like, we can show that we, you know, as a housing committee or whatever, as a town are interested in preserving water quality by increasing setback, for example.
Mhm.
That's a super useful thing that doesn't come from the housing committee necessarily, but is like,
That could help.
could be helpful to think about how the different lenses through which people are concerned about the impact of development and building on water quality. Yeah,
You know, maybe they could consider, I know they don't have it in the comp plan,
Yeah.
growth areas.
It-
not gonna happen.
It's not happening, Joe.
Inland.
Yeah, there
But
might
if,
be,
if you do the growth areas more inland, it seems to me if they're worried about water
The
quality.
problem is that
They-
there
That's
is
the
a
area to
consensus
put 'em.
on the committee.
Huh?
There's a lot of pushback out internally on the committee.
No, I don't.
So.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen this time around.
Um. So there's enough water in town. It's not a good argument against building more housing, especially attainable housing.
Yeah.
There are areas in town that have limited water supplies, especially during high use times. And there are steps that people who live there can take to reduce the likelihood of running out of water, which include, and then you can, you know, toilets and rainwater collection or whatever, more removing impermeable surface or.
Maybe it's something you could build into your housing group. Would be included in any of the new houses that.
no, I think those are good comments that
Yeah.
came out today.
Yeah.
I think that we can improve on our language under what is in the comp plan or under the affordable housing working group's recommendations. Those are all gotta go to planning board and then to select board, but we have opportunity
We
to
have
continue to massage those and make those real
No.
for the concerns of our citizens.
So yeah. The comprehensive plan, if we don't need to focus on that too much, but like the comprehensive plan is a guideline. It doesn't set anything in stone. Everything still has, I mean, these are also points that are important to remember and talk about.
They are, but what I found interesting, I was saying about just for you guys,
Yeah.
the article that the comp plan just wrote in the Anchor, and they stated about getting it certified at the state level. Because once it's certified, you can, as a town, you can qualify for certain grants. And stuff, and bonds and whatever, and other things. My question, and I'm trying to find this out because I do not have the answer, is if we do not have growth areas in our comprehensive plan, how does that affect, if it does? Being able to get it certified or funded?
Ideally, the way it was written, Mark's got his hand up. He's gonna explain it much
Oh,
better.
there
than
it is,
me.
you got it.
Sean, you have to be careful when you talk about the comprehensive plan. State law says that if the town adopts a comprehensive plan, the town's zoning ordinance has to be brought into conformance with the comprehensive plan within 2 years.
I'm aware of, I was talking about them getting it certified, Mark.
Oh, no, Sean's earlier said it's the comprehensive plan is
Oh.
just a guideline, and no, I agree with what you were saying. I was going back to what he says. Everything else in the comprehensive plan is just a guideline. When it comes to zoning regulation, if
There
the
are
zoning ordinance
No
says.
zoning recommendations in the comprehensive plan currently. There just aren't. Like,
There are. It says that the town should consider reducing the lot size
should
for
consider is
single
an
family homes.
absolutely spot, like, contains no actionable information. That is a double recommendation. It is not, and it is not a call to action. Very specifically, it's not a call to action. That phrasing was picked
So it's not. a
so that
call
it's
to
not a direct call to action, but it is a guideline. Because, yeah, we need to be able to say, this is a guiding document. It's not legally, like, it doesn't compel us to do anything in town. I
don't think it can get certified.
Mark, if you think that should,
Actually.
your impression is that should consider is legally binding to then act on the thing that follows should consider? Is that?
No, what's legally binding is that you should consider.
Mhm.
And if you don't do anything about it, then you have a legal thing hanging out there that somebody can come along and say to the judge, the comprehensive plan said the town should consider doing this, and it did nothing about it. I would bet money that you lose in that situation.
But you
Because that,
consider not do anything, but if you had a committee and tried to come up with some options and it was voted down, that would mean you considered it, right?
that would meet the requirement, but if you just
Okay.
do nothing,
Gotcha.
if you adopt a comprehensive plan that says you should consider doing these things and you do nothing, I think there's a legal liability out there. And I think everyone should be careful in terms of saying this doesn't mean anything and we don't have to do anything if we adopt the comprehensive plan. I think the legal framework says that if you adopt the comprehensive plan, you have to create a mechanism for, in fact, considering those changes. You don't have to adopt them, you have to consider them.
And also, Mark, could you address how we have chosen to address the growth districts in the new comp plan?
The current draft of the comprehensive plan does not designate growth areas as envisioned by the state growth management law. The state law has a mechanism that allows communities to make the argument that the rules relative to designating growth areas don't apply to the community. The current comprehensive plan law has 5 specific criteria. And when Judy, the consultant who worked with the comprehensive plan, prepared a document that argued that the town meets 3 of those criteria. The legislature just adopted and the governor signed a revision to the comprehensive plan law that changes those criteria for not designating growth areas. Margaret, I think, sent you all an email with some correspondence from Max at the regional COG about how it looks like the state is going to proceed. And there's probably going to be 2 years that you can go by the old rules or the new comprehensive plan rules. And I think the new rules will make it harder for the town to make the case that it doesn't need to designate growth areas.
Are you speaking of 1751?
Yes. And if you designate growth areas, and there's provisions for non-SOAR growth areas. And I think I sent you, or Margaret sent you a memo from the town's legal counsel with a chart that shows how the lot sizes in 1751 apply to growth areas and non-growth areas, depending upon whether you have public sewer or on-site sewage disposal. I'm doing this from memory, Cheryl. You might remember it better than I do, but I think that says that if you have growth areas, if your comprehensive plan that was adopted has designated growth areas, the minimum lot size for single-family homes cannot be larger than 20,000 square feet. And it has to be smaller if there's less impact. I don't remember exactly what it says. So it's very simple. What's in 1751 for growth areas is very similar to what the recommendations are in the Affordable Housing Working Group report. 20,000 square feet for a 3-bedroom single-family home, and smaller lot sizes if you have less bedrooms. It matches pretty directly with what's in 1751.
I'm working on trying to put a breakdown for 1751, like I got you guys for 1829. It's been very difficult though, getting all the information, because all the work really was put behind 1840. And 1751 slid in and took it over. Because of the Portland City Planners. They just had a much larger lobbying, so.
Yeah, I mean,
40 had been around for like 4 years being worked on, so I'm just saying to you, I do think it does everything that you're saying.
right.
But I'm in the process of gathering information. It wasn't the bill that I supported on the House floor.
Right. If you got, and I'm pretty sure Margaret sent it out, a memo from Drummond Woodsum, who are the town's
No.
legal.
It hasn't been sent out, Mark.
No,
We
You
can,
didn't get it?
no.
no. I'd love to see it.
I asked Margaret to send it out 2 weeks ago. I will see, but there's Drummond Woodsum did a summary for their municipal clients that looks at both ADU changes and the comprehensive plan changes, and says this is what you have to do to comply with I think 3 state laws, depending upon what you how you fit in terms of whether you have sewer, don't have sewer, whether it's within a growth area or not within a growth area.
I thought something came out, but none of them applied, I thought.
I think that these are interesting things that I'd love to see that memo. If you or Margaret can send it out, that would be great. And I guess that this is just the next thing on the agenda. Something that I talked about in the Resilience and Sustainability Committee with Marianne was sort of like, because water has repeatedly come up, what are some other ways that we can think about? And also because increases in septic throughput are one of the major expenses for ADUs. Are there ways that we can reduce that number by using alternative or lower water use composting toilets or alternative toilets of various kinds? Or Yeah, also rainwater catchment and use. I am not sure what the like legalities around either of those things are. I know that somebody mentioned at the Cunny's Harbor one that she's been using rainwater catchment solely for 30 years. And that might just be like a grandfather thing or kind of like a whatever, but I think that that's another really useful thing to consider when we're talking about smaller lot sizes is like maybe, yeah, actual water usage as opposed to state like requirements for sewage throughput for average living, which to my mind, 90 gallons is like a totally insane amount of water to use, basically. And are there ways that if we were to build in reduced water usage into a property, can we lower those numbers at all? That is a curiosity that I have that came up in the other committee. I don't know really anything about it. If you have any thoughts or.
Well, I looked it up after you left, and
Oh,
I
great.
found that you could have composting toilet in Maine.
Great.
But then I got to thinking about, what do you do about the rest of your gray water, because you can't have a gray water system? And you're
Yeah.
smiling,
They,
am I right?
so,
I think what-
one of the first meetings we had here, I talked about, different septic systems. We have closed septic systems.
Yeah, we
that
do.
could be used on smaller lots. We
Very
have septic
expensive.
systems. Somebody tried to sell us before we did the one we had. And we did it at the time because it was cheaper just to fix a part of it. They would have come out and drank the water out of it that I could have watered my plants and gardens from. You know,
That was a
and
food
would have
usage,
reduced the
probably.
size of the land area needed significantly. Significantly, so,
So this is the head wall you have,
okay.
just the state.
What do you got, Mark?
John, the state regulates all types of sewage disposal systems. Margaret is one of the town's licensed plumbing inspectors. And Margaret can tell you what the state says in terms of alternative toilets, composting toilets, all of those sorts of things, when you can use them, how you have to do it. It's, I think almost all of them, of the alternative toilets are addressed in the current plumbing code.
That's good to know that she has.
Yeah.
information.
Thanks, Mark. That's useful, so I don't have to go hunting for it. I figured you would probably know that. Ask Margaret or Mark. Yeah.
I mean, why would the state regulations govern so much is that they put up with all the problems and
Yeah.
just it's a process of elimination. This is the way it's gonna be, because what you say you're gonna do with a compost and what the next person says they're gonna do with it are two different things.
Sure.
And so we have these overlapping regulations that are just gospel and aren't changing. If anything, as Mark stated early on, we used to design septics for possibly 50, but we're now up to 90. It's because we're just consumers that we're not paying attention to that 45 or 40 gallons more that we're using that isn't needed. But the washing machines are now not hand spun or whatever that, you know, in the old days and all these other things.
And
We're
people are
just a
paying for their
convenience
water,
thing.
so they really don't have a good
But I
sense of how
mean-
much water they use.
I'm just saying, the roadblock here is the state. And if you look at the state, I think most of that will trickle down as to definitions and sorts. Doesn't mean we can't, but it's gonna be within their point mark.
Right, so I guess that I'm trying to, the thing that came up is I am interested in developing clarity around what are those specific, what is the container that we can operate within with alternative toilets? Does that bias anything at all? If it doesn't, then we don't need to think about it, but if it does, then it's certainly worth considering for.
To your point, I mean, Cheryl's saying, okay, if you had a toilet system like that and you've reduced your gallons per person by 1.3 per, and all of a sudden you're saving X gallons, it does make a difference to what the size of the field is out there. Or the
Absolutely.
tanks are.
Absolutely.
All those do incrementally.
Yeah.
Have a.
Right now at a state level, we don't have, that I can find,
No?
subsidies.
Yeah.
For these efficient things, which I am trying to work on.
Efficient
But I
cities.
want them just for rural and areas that are on well and septic. I don't want them to be open to areas of living where you have public water and sewer. And specifically around appliances from your toilet to your washing machine, to your dishwasher.
So I know,
Water.
I know that the town, and I believe even the state, will help somebody with a septic issue and lend money or even actually have fund money to be able to go do that.
Right.
And the overboard discharge issue is the state will actually help you get that to be a non-overboard discharge. Those are where I think the community needs to reach out and initiate to the state that should be broader or bigger. And maybe there's a funding
It's something we
mechanism
need to look at and see what.
for
Yeah.
additional systems of overtaxation or not enough or whatever. But I mean, we have, I will tell you, I think we're reaching a limit as to what that fund does anymore because we've gotten a lot of them displaced or improved.
Right.
So maybe that money could go to a different direction.
That's true.
Yeah, but that's just, like,
Those are what you're looking for, ideas.
this is, yeah, absolutely, and, yeah, so I guess that I would be interested in thinking about, Mark, you said, talk to Margaret about specifically the details around alternatives. Bob, do you have, that's,
So
that
those
would
are-
be.
I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
There's just a ton there.
Yeah,
You know, it's a convenience, but if it can initiate housing and an economics,
I would personally be very happy to deal with inconvenience if I were able to own a home in Harpswell. Like that's my own, feeling, but I think a lot of people would agree with me, a lot of people who don't own homes in town. So,
so.
yeah,
So being an owner of an island home, I catch all my water.
Yeah.
And I have a filter system, I don't have a purification system, so I drink what's coming out of the sky. And it goes into a tank, manufactured in Pennsylvania, tertiary, and, all three systems produce gray water that I water my plants with.
Mhm.
I don't use it for anything else, otherwise there's no field. But that's
And
everything.
state
about it.
law allows for gray water systems. You can put your,
Yeah,
your washing machine and certain other things into a separate gray
Yeah.
water system, but it has to be designed and built according to the state rules.
I thought the state did.
I
The
thought
state
they got
doesn't
rid of
allow
that.
gray water, is that what somebody said
What was
earlier?
that?
I
This-
think- I'm sorry.
The state does not allow gray water systems, was said in this,
I see.
at this table earlier, so is
Yes,
that,
you can.
I was just on the
I've-
200 form and it said gray water systems
Okay.
allowed.
Okay,
what-
well, that's. good.
Ask Margaret. Margaret is the local plumbing inspector. She
Okay.
knows what you can do with gray water systems.
Well, I'll have to ask you that because the reason I didn't think they were allowed, when we first purchased the Vicarage, there actually was a system that, because it was a bed and breakfast, the washing machine and I think maybe the dish machine ran off and into a thing, and then
Try what?
when we were told, we couldn't have that. We had to put it
There's a lot of those out there.
into our septic.
Yeah.
That it couldn't be there anymore.
So it's good if they're allowing it now.
It
Yeah,
says
I just-
they are permitted for single-family dwellings served by pressurized water.
Yeah.
It's pressurized,
And it's a pump.
right? It's just,
so it's not just gravity fed.
I think even adequately pressurized gravity feed would probably count, but have that around here.
Cheryl, I think there is an issue that a lot of the old, what I'm gonna call straight pipe gray water systems where you simply you know, had the sink or the washing machine run into a, you know, piece of poly
Maybe like gravel.
and out onto the land, you can't, those aren't allowed. You can have a gray water system that has a leach field, but doesn't have a septic tank or.
Let me read you the disposal systems per the HEE 200 form. Disposal system components, complete engineered system, primitive system, gray water and alternative toilet and specified, non-engineered treatment tank only, holding tank gallons, non-engineered disposal field, whoops, separate laundry systems, there's your gray water, complete engineered systems, 2,000 gallons or more, engineered treatment tank, engineered disposal field, pre-treatment, miscellaneous,
Wow.
right there.
Interesting.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
No, that's great.
No, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, and what that actually looks like is something that I would be super curious to like gain some understanding of.
Mhm.
Because in addition to we have this is a good thing to think about it with what we can say to people who are showing up concerned about water and are experiencing limited water. We can talk about there are alternatives, and we need to, I think, have a list of suggestions or an understanding of some steps that people who are experiencing reduced water supply can take or neighborhoods can take.
Is there somebody that can come out and give, I'd like, if I wanna make my home more energy efficient, there's people that can call and they'll come and go through my house and let me know what I can do.
There's a whole
There's somebody
department at the
that-
state on septic.
Huh?
There's a whole department on septic.
I know,
people.
but I'm saying if your well's drying up, if there's
Yeah.
somebody that, or an agency, do we know, I don't know, that somebody could call and say, my well keeps drying up, can I get somebody to come and inspect and tell me some alternative things I can do? I'm just curious.
A good
I'm trying to
question.
find
I
a
mean,
mistake.
there are companies that might do it, but is there some like somebody without an ulterior motive that might come? That'd be great if there was.
I would tell you that the state water quality people in sorts at a lower level than just township and range, you know, designation, but I think to your point, Debbie, we gotta keep it simple, stupid, or else we've lost the ground.
Oh, totally.
There's enough water in town. It's not a good argument against building more housing.
That's good.
There are places that have water supply issues, and we have, we're,
You can't
we're,
build affordable housing.
yeah, we
without
can't-
showing that you
we're not
have
gonna build
water
there.
and septic, So.
we're not gonna build there, and there are steps that you can take to more responsibly, or like more, yeah. So go ahead, Mark, sorry.
I gotta leave. I'm cooking dinner and Carol is come home and so I'm gonna leave and you can work it out and I'll watch the rest of the video.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye.
Okay, take care, Mark.
So it's not that they can't build, it's that they have to meet the standard, and that is to produce enough water or have enough water. If they can't get there, they're gonna find out they can't build.
Those are good
We-
points though to mention in your argument.
It's like the common sense.
we can't build, we're not
You know?
going to build attainable housing units in
The
the
shoreline.
shoreline
It is
zone.
never, it's a non-affordable to buy the land.
Yeah,
Really.
I mean,
We
you put-
tried at Mitchell Field to ask
you
for
put-
that,
it's not
didn't work.
feasible.
yeah.
It's feasible.
Okay.
So, you
Yeah.
know, when we talk about water
Yeah.
and septic and everything, I give an example, I'm working on a development, which I probably wouldn't break down now until 26,
Yeah.
but, and this is in an area that has,
Water.
well, it will have, like, right now it's well water, but it will have town and septic water.
Mhm.
But, because in the growth zone where I live, even though they put their stormwater drain on my land, I can't use it
Huh.
because they didn't put a big enough pipe in it for the growth area, so I have to build a whole stormwater drainage system
Off
thing,
your
and I'm
property.
sharing this with you, because this is even in
another area that if you cannot show that you have the septic and the water,
Mhm.
you can't build.
Yeah, I mean,
So the argument that we don't have enough water, just, it isn't on many levels. One, we do have enough
we
water.
have enough water,
Two.
and in the limited areas where we don't,
Right,
you already can't build there.
right.
And you know,
That's just.
Well,
It's pretty real.
It
Yeah,
is,
I mean,
it's pretty real. You
I
have-
mean, we talk
You know,
about,
the building codes are you have to have enough space for the septic. And you have to have water. And all the laws from 2003
Mhm.
said that, you know, when they was first started talking about ADUs, you have to have enough water and septic. In order to be able to do these things. If you don't, you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
that's why I say, we keep knife fights in the dark at all these meetings.
Mhm.
And yet, the next two steps, the planning, to get to planning, and then from planning to make an advisory to say you can go to select board. Do you not think that we're gonna be just slayed to death before we get anywhere? So, the comp plan being a all-encompassing document is just a bunch of malarkey in a way. And it's just, you've got so many, the two big hurdles in front of you are just huge.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
yes, and the comprehensive plan that we have in front of us is like something that we would hopefully like to see passed. I think.
we do, but I'm just saying, to our problem in housing, and to use either the zoning, as you said, consider.
Mm.
We got the hurdle is so high, it's dumbfounding, is what I'm saying.
So
because you don't think the planning board will,
we don't,
Amy,
we're not gonna get into this right now.
yeah,
It's-
Yeah,
It's a
and
different committee that I think we can't.
but,
we don't have,
We don't have control. over.
yeah,
but on the other
exactly.
hand, I'm just thinking of why we want a comp plan,
Mhm.
other than we could get grants.
Well, according to the article, and I was glad to see it there,
No, it's
is they can
what-
get it certified by the state.
Right.
Yes, it does.
But another good reason, if you're being aspirational.
Yeah.
Is that we have so many different communities in our town. With all their ideas of what's important.
Yeah.
A comp plan at least gives us the first cut.
but it's absolutely necessary, but I
Aside-
just.
But that's a plus for it.
It does. You know, when I look at it, I haven't fully gone through it, I'll grant you that, but as the comprehensive plan is important because the hope is we talk about wanting to keep certain things, you know, we have and I say it all the time, we have amazing volunteer programs in this town. But most of the people doing them are in their seventies.
Right.
And higher, and I heard from many of them, one was out not gonna do it, there's nobody to replace
So that's the.
these amazing programs that we have. And so the comp plan, it has to, I think should have to take that. And we're going to keep these wonderful things in our community that we love. This is what we have to
Yeah.
do, this is.
The
But
one
for
thing
us
this
here,
committee
it's about
does,
how are we going to get affordable housing?
Mhm.
if
And
anything,
what does that look
this committee is gonna be the one keeping to poke the bear.
It is,
That is our job.
It's your job.
yeah, we could poke a bear or we could try to build some houses to.
Get a couple bears.
Or,
That house,
maybe not, yeah. Again, we like modify some existing structures to house more people. That's a super viable thing. That isn't gonna change the visual
To just
quality of the town or whatever people, you know.
It is.
to let you know, we are meeting with Adam at Habitat.
Mhm.
And Bible Broadcasting is showing up to
Oh, are they?
lock the door, and Steve and I are going to talk about, and I think Mark from Ha is coming as well.
No.
So it's later this month, but there might be opportunity to see that possibly go into 2 units, maybe 3.
Oh,
I think
you're
a
all
lot of
working
it
on
might
it.
happen on those smaller bases.
What's that?
I think
a number of these in town will happen on smaller
Yeah,
It's real,
bases.
it's-
But
yes.
It should, it's never, so that was the other thing that I heard, Nancy, from people. There was this fear that when we say affordable housing, they're gonna build the big.
Yeah.
Skyrocketing things that are on the page.
which aren't affordable.
And first I told them those aren't affordable
They're
housing.
not
For
affordable.
starters, they're not even close to affordable housing. But no, it could look like this.
Yeah.
It could look just like what you're living in.
I mean, or for
Yeah.
example, the Schofield Farm, or
Right,
whatever,
Beaufort Farm.
is
Yeah.
a whole bunch of units.
If my home, maybe my retirement years, if my home wasn't a older care home, it could
Right.
be. Have all kind of small apartments in it,
Sure, exactly.
efficiency apartments, for people. So it can look like a home,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be, and no, you're not gonna be able to build something like that without public sewer and public water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, I mean, although we have some pretty big mansions down in the.
You do,
Pretty-
you do, I
Pretty
know.
equivalent,
In enclosed square footage,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
Those big
you know,
houses with
so-
all those rooms.
Mhm.
Sure.
So, we have things, and I see housing there. I drive down my road and there's this big beautiful barn. I mean, it's just a gorgeous barn. And I'm like, let's get some people in there and architect out the inside of it and leave the outside of the structure and just put some nice windows
I've done.
on it and put,
I've
it
done three
can still look
churches.
like a barn from the
Three churches.
outside. Have doors that open, so there's a lot of different ways, so those
Yeah,
are the discussions that I
Yeah.
found very receptive.
Yeah.
With people.
I think that that's where we've got
Yeah.
some legs, basically,
And I think that would be appealing to people.
Yeah. We just have to think outside the box and be a little more creative.
And
or like you were saying, inside the box, let's leave the barn there. Just build some, yeah. Yeah.
Build inside of it, put the windows, I'd love to own it, because that's exactly what I would work towards.
Yeah.
I'll never own it, but.
Yeah, that's, yeah,
thank you guys for letting me come and.
Oh, thank you. So it's listening to us go back and forth to finally get to our message, but we do bounce it off the wall pretty good.
No, that's good. We're gonna, we gotta move forward on this water thing, because it's not just for affordable housing, it's.
It's, in, you dealing with the water things, that's one issue, and I think that we've gotten a good message to start with that. It's just not accurate, and when somebody at these meetings says that, we need to be able to say that's actually not. And hold people's feet to the fire, but then we also have, when people say to us, why do we need affordable housing, because if we do not replenish. Growth in this town, our town will.
Put 19 units in that one.
I mean,
A slow death, but it's happening,
Yeah, oh, it is.
and
And it said the same thing in the 2005 comp.
they did, so.
It's verbatim.
There's your barn.
Oh, yeah.
Put 19 in that one, the
The
previous one I
church
put
or the one
25.
next to it?
The 19 in the church.
Okay.
Oh, in the church.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the church, yeah.
it's just look
Well,
at the barn, it's
I love
volumetric.
the white church right across,
Yeah.
from the bank on Pleasant Street.
Oh, that
On
one.
the end there, when that went up for sale, that's what I wanted to do with it. I'm like, just leave it, nobody's gonna care, it just looks like a church and put everything inside. But yes, in the 2005 plan, I don't know if you were in the room when I started saying it to Bob, was the fact that 2005 plan came out of when LNG came into town. And it was the only time in my life that I remember all the fishing community and the rest of the community. Well, the majority of the fishing, there were people that were for LNG, but came together. And through those conversations, one of the big things that people outside of the community learned was that we were losing our fishing families, that we were losing our young families, that our school was shrinking.
I mean,
So that sparked the recommendations in the 2005 comp plan that we needed to fix the affordable housing issue
to again,
for the same things that we're
Same things.
stating today.
to reference that conversation that I had with Matt, where he relayed that there are 500 fewer children in town than 20 years ago. That's a staggering number. It's a totally staggering number, and that trend isn't gonna reverse if we don't do anything.
We have to do something.
I
Uh,
mean, well, our first grade, people will say to you, it's inspiring because we got some more first graders, that's fine, we don't have more kindergartners.
Yeah.
We
It
don't
was a,
have more
it was a
second
particular
graders or-
cohort.
Or
that-
third,
yeah.
third graders, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, I mean, 500 fewer kids is it 1/10 of the population.
My
of town.
kids went to school with both schools, classrooms packed.
I mean, so I think that like, yeah, looking at what a town looks like when there aren't when there aren't people who live here and grow up here.
And go ahead, there's kids go to school. here.
Our
Yeah,
fire
those
departments
kids,
had too many volunteers. We
Yeah.
had youth high school
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and that, you know, volunteering.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think that we have good clarity
The one in us-
on this committee about the importance of housing and why we need to do it in town and yeah, the message is important to tell people and I guess maybe that's a good thing for the next meeting to look at about how do we develop a concise message about why we need it, because, yeah, I mean, it's,
And you'll have a chance on August 15th to get up and talk about that, I believe.
at the comp plan hearing kind of
I think
thing, or,
so,
yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, didn't we expand licenses for claim diggers and stuff that used to live in town that now
We
have
sort of
been moved
expanded
out
the
of
way we
town?
allowed them, yeah.
You know?
Mm.
Yes, we
And,
did.
and how many do our lobster license holders in this, that live in Hartsville?
I'm just
They
concerned
fish here, but
why
how
there
many of them
seems to be so
actually
many
live here?
fishing people that are against the plan.
Yeah, it's,
I'm trying to I just would like to know what the reasonings are.
And I'll throw in my last comment, we are the oldest populous town in the state.
Yeah.
So that makes it more of why we must do something.
Definitely.
I popped into the Harpswell Heritage Land Trust's annual meeting,
Yeah.
after the last comp plan thing, and, you know, there was like 3 other people there that weren't over 45, so, you know.
Hey,
There were some young folks there.
Well, I got really excited about knocking on doors this last time because I met a few young
Yeah.
families and a few of them, you know, had inherited the places
Yeah.
that they were in.
and then now
But
they're
they
able
were,
to
they were
work.
young families, so it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, yeah, if you want.
So I think that's like, as far as the water thing goes, it's great to develop clarity. It's just not true that it's a townwide problem. It is a localized problem. And there are steps that you can take if you live in those localized areas.
Now, it's
So,
interesting
are we-
too,
Go ahead.
when you look at the geological map that shows the spots that have good water.
Mhm.
One of the spots that has good water on that map is across from the old Hartsville Island School,
oh,
right?
Nope.
Who was the first person that was out there
Yeah.
talking? So, you know, that's the problem with these.
she's my business yoga instructor.
Yeah, no, so it's, if you've had a problem, you don't care what the map says, basically.
So are we going to, at the comp meeting, be advocating that we have plenty of water against those that say we don't?
That's my intention at the next one that I go to yeah, that's what I will be saying there. Mary Ann, I would love if you can
I'm gonna say the same
grab
thing.
those, if you can come up with those numbers, that would be super
Oh,
helpful,
yeah,
so that we can
those
both
numbers.
grab the like,
What I was
Okay,
saying
yeah.
about the water fear that she raised is because of what we've talked about, the isolated incidences.
The
So
isolated.
it's the fear
Yeah.
that it
It's always
was
been about
because
the press.
because of
Yeah.
this.
Exactly.
So it's a genuine fear.
Oh, it
And-
is,
And I
and
won't
I-
discredit
It's
somebody
inconvenient,
for
yeah.
that, but
absolutely.
we got it, I'm hoping we find a better way to.
To accomplish.
Well, and I think that
And I think, you know,
Go ahead.
saying it's isolated spots.
it is, and
Mm.
another thing is that like, this is the thing that you've experienced that was,
Yeah.
that was inconvenient or unpleasant. It's also going to be inconvenient or unpleasant if we don't have volunteer fire department anymore. At the last like go round on the comp plan, the first person who stood up to speak was Ben Wallace, is the chief of 2 of the 3 fire departments, and he said, we need to pass this, especially for housing, because we need more volunteers here. And, you know, I really appreciated him standing up and saying that. Unfortunately, I was like, you know, 1 month into this role when that
Right.
came up, so it was a little bit tricky to speak with confidence, but I think that as we've, sort of like developed a more well-rounded understanding as a committee about the realities and the minutia as well.
And the meeting in Cundy's Harbor was all about housing.
It was, positively,
Positively.
mostly
Well, they
positively,
wanted
yeah.
more housing, so you know, every part of town has its.
And I also use Howard as an example too, because that's who I heard a lot from. I've heard a lot from people who volunteer for HUD.
Yeah.
It was,
Well,
I'm
you've got
only gonna be able to do
300
this
plus
for 2 years.
Members.
And when I need help, is there gonna be there, somebody there to be helpful?
Yeah, so, I mean, the individual experience of running out of water, yeah, it sucks, and it is real. It does, and we're not trying to say that it doesn't happen, but there is adequate water in town, and the reality of the risk of not having attainable housing in town is also a very real problem. As far as we're concerned, I mean, yeah, it just is, yeah.
Really, what people don't understand is that point, Sean, is that as we age out, and gentrify continually harder, faster, without having a youth vote or a say, we are going to be like a gated community.
We'll move it.
And I-
Retirement community.
that scares me from the standpoint that we need cross-sectional people
We do, for community, you need
at all levels.
cross-pollination,
Just-
yes, yes.
And I would argue, you know, as far as I know, in, you know, shifts and stuff. It was several years ago that we were the oldest, and I think we saw.
Yeah.
In the state, and that says to me that it's not that far down the road.
Yeah, so we're doing what we
It's
can.
happening fast.
We're doing what we can, and I think that getting some clarity on the water stuff is really good, for us to do. It's a concern that people have, so. Anyways, I'm gonna close the meeting, or move to, I guess, all right, seconded. All right, unanimous, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for the
for-
fruit. Sorry that I ate most of it.
Oh. The struggle of